This is the METS POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the New York Mets. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
David Peterson had a rough start for the New York Mets. They came back from trailing by 6 runs, but ultimately waste a huge Juan Soto game. Welcome in to the Mets Postcast here, live on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel. You can listen to us in the Locked On Mets podcast feed. I'm your Postcast host, Chris Schubert, here with you after each and every Mets game throughout the course of the season. And boy, put this one on the short list of frustrating, annoying losses for the New York Mets. Coming into this series, we all knew what the task at hand was for this team. Continue the momentum coming out of a series sweep of the Philadelphia Phillies. And the Mets, 2 of the 3 games of this series, have done everything in their power to halt that momentum. And that certainly happened here. Yet again, David Peterson struggled, a growing concern with him. The offense was great. That's been the standard here for the last month or so. Yet unfortunately, it still wasn't enough as the Mets fell in this one. And where I'd like to start this evening's postcast is by talking about what this game represented for the New York Mets and how they let this one slip away.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Throughout the course of a season, there are games that in the moment you just have to have. You can feel it sitting on your couch watching the game. You can see it when you're sitting there in the ballpark. You just know you got to have this game. And when the game started today, we all knew how important this game was for the New York Mets. Don't want to lose 2 in a row to Miami. Don't want to waste this chance with David Peterson on the mound to carry the momentum from great night offensively, great night from Jonah Tong the night prior. And then when David Peterson gives up 5 runs in the first and the Mets find themselves down 8-2, you're no longer thinking the Mets have to have this one. You're instead ripping your hair out, disappointed, frustrated at what you are seeing watching this game. And then the Mets claw back in this one. And they rally from being down 8-2 to tie this game up at 8. And in that moment, in an instant, this game flips on its head. And it becomes a game the Mets just absolutely had to have, to come clawing back to tie this game up against a team that you should be a lot better than. Shouldn't have even been in this mess. We'll get to David Peterson and his rough start here in just a second. You have to find a way to win this game. And unfortunately, the Mets found a way to lose this game. They waste a triple by Jeff McNeil, leadoff triple to try to tie the game. Tyler Rogers immediately gives back the lead after the Mets come storming back to tie it off of a Juan Soto home run. They just couldn't finish the job. They did all of the hard work to draw it back even at 8, and the bullpen let them down. The offense let them down late, and it is just a disappointing, frustrating loss for the New York Mets, and one that they just needed. And you would hate to look back at the end of the season if this team ends up missing the playoffs by a game or missing the division by a game. You're going to circle one like this one in a big way because the Mets, they had it. They made the big comeback. They had the Marlins on their heels. They were the much better team. They had all of the momentum, and they just instantly gave it away. Let's start with the David Peterson start that got all of this mess going here. 5 runs in the first, 8 runs overall. And this isn't just a one-game start for a one-start sample size for David Peterson. This is a 5-start sample size of a problem. And even if you include the 8 great innings against Washington, he has an ERA over 7 in his last 5 starts. Coming into this game, including the Washington start, he had an ERA north of 5 in his last 4 starts. He has picked the worst time of the season to go through this really tough stretch. And with a rotation that, let's face it, is kind of being held up mainly by duct tape. Nolan McLean's doing a great job. Jonah Tong was great last night. It just feels like it's too much pressure to put on those 2 youngsters to try to hold this rotation up when everything else is a question mark. David Peterson is a question mark. 7 ERA over his, north of 7 ERA over his last 5 starts. He's a question mark right now. He had been all reliable. He had been the one constant for this rotation. You knew you were going to get 6 quality innings from David Peterson. You can't say that right now. Maybe we'll be able to say it again at some point before this season comes to an end. But right now, we cannot say that. Kodai Senga, the guy who's going to start tomorrow for the Mets. Are we sure that his rotation spot is even secure right now? I know the Mets are going to a 6-man rotation, but are we sure they're going to be able to keep playing one short in the bullpen? I know they'll be able to add a reliever if that's the direction they want to go on September 1. But is Kodai Senga's rotation spot all that certain right now? Is Sean Manaea giving everybody the confidence that he's going to be able to give you quality? Clay Holmes, that was a rough one his last time out. So a lot of question marks. And the 2 guys in that rotation that aren't question marks right now are your young prospects who combined have made 4 starts in the big leagues. So David Peterson is supposed to be the guy that helps along with those kids. He's the grizzled vet. He's the grandpa of the group that is supposed to be able to help steady things along. And he has been anything but that here recently. Again, other than that great start against Washington. And I don't want to take that away, but even if you include that in his numbers, he has not been very good over his last 5 starts. And that's a big enough sample size at this stage of the season to be worried about what he's going to be able to give you here down the stretch. A lot of good opponents coming up for the Mets in the month of September. They're going to need David Peterson to be on his A game, and he was not today. Command all over the place, a ton of hard hit contact, leaving stuff up in the zone that was getting crushed, not getting those ground balls, a lot of balls in the air. I know the Mets made a comeback, but you can't dig your team a 5-0 hole. You can't dig your team an 8-2 hole and expect to win. Now, he didn't get help. Brendan Nimmo made a bad play in the outfield that directly led to 3 runs. He got some bad luck. He got a ball that went off of his glove that normally he catches and turns it into a double play. I get all that, but he's had some plays go his way this year. That's kind of the luck balancing out. David Peterson just needed to be better today, and he wasn't, and it is a growing concern here as we get to the very important stretch of this season. It's about to be September in 2 days. We got to talk about the offense. We got to talk about the great day from Juan Soto because they are the group that is the one constant for this team right now. And if there's any silver lining, if there's anything that could help this team snap out of this little rut that they're in, just playing sloppy in the field and losing games to a Marlins team that they shouldn't lose to, it's just how great this offense has been. So we'll talk about Juan Soto. We'll talk about Mark Vientos. We'll talk about this offense as a whole here on the other side. Are you still paying full price for gas? Well, stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play Store right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use the limited time promo code SEASON and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. At first, I thought it was too good to be true. Totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using the limited time promo code SEASON for a limited time 25 cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code SEASON. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. Maybe you're like most people, can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth. 401ks, properties, investments. When you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It is an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch, built for people that have busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting. You can link all of your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code LOCKEDONMLB. Back here on the Mets postcast, recapping a frustrating 11-8 loss for the New York Mets. They rallied from being down 8-2 in this game behind a massive day from Juan Soto, and he deserves his flowers for what he attempted to do in this game for the New York Mets. A pair of home runs, including the one that tied it up at 8. Mets were down 8-5. He hit his first home run to make it 8-6. He hit the 2-run homer in the bottom of the 6th to tie it up at 8. Just a huge effort from Soto. He went 2 for 2 in this game. The 2 home runs, the 3 RBIs, was on base a bunch in this game, stole bases, 30-30 season certainly in the cards. We could be talking about another 40 homer season for Juan Soto. Set his career high last year with the Yankees at 41. And he has a chance now, sitting at 35 after today's game, to get to that 41 number and potentially surpass it. And even though this is a frustrating loss, that home run in the 4th, that home run in the 6th, a reminder of the good times that should be coming for a long time at Citi Field for Juan Soto wearing that New York Mets uniform. There's another 14 years on that contract. And there was just a lot of excitement when he hit that home run, kind of a reminder of that guy's going to be here for a really long time doing things like that. Hopefully, the Mets can turn more days like that into wins. You certainly would expect on a day where Juan Soto hits 2 home runs that the Mets win the baseball game. So they've got to find a way to turn this over. And in general, the Mets offense just playing great right now. I don't know how many of you have done the deep dive, but the Mets all of a sudden are one of the best teams in all of baseball hitting with runners in scoring position. I know they struggled a little bit with it today. A lot of it, maybe, is a better way to describe it. 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position. Certainly the big turning point in this game, if I was going to play the fancy intro to talk about it, it's the leadoff triple from Jeff McNeil in the 7th. Mets had a chance to get this game back even, could not get it home. Some bad at-bats. I thought Beatty's at-bat getting up 3-0 and then hitting the ground out. Starling Marte, for all of the love that we have for Marte and certainly deserved with the year that he's having, just one of those frustrating ABs that we know he can have, where it's just 3 pitches and he sits back down. And then Mullins hits the ball that you needed Beatty or Marte to hit. He hits a liner deep enough that would have scored the run, but it's the 3rd out, and so the Mets waste that chance. And overall, the Mets, Mark Vientos, I mean, we're going to look up at the end of this year for Mark Vientos, and he's probably going to hit 20 home runs, and he's going to be an above-average hitter based on the metrics. You could look at WRC+, you could look at OPS+. He's going to be a guy that at the end of the year, we're going to be like, wow, how did he get to that season? How did that happen? He has completely turned a corner in the month of August. He had another home run today, a 3 RBI day for him, and just lengthens the lineup. You feel like this team truly has power and threats every single spot in the first, 5 or 6 in his lineup with the way this team's hitting. Lindor with his 9th leadoff home run of the season. Just so many good things offensively for this team right now. I know today was a rough day for it, but hitting with runners in scoring position. Soto is carrying this team right now, putting them on their back. Nimmo with a big hit today. I know he had the bad play in the field. A pair of hits for Nimmo today in this game. Vientos with a ton of power. 3 RBI game for him with the home run. So you just want these offensive outbursts to lead to something. You just want a team that's putting up these types of numbers. They're 3rd in baseball with runners in scoring position this year in OPS and in WRC+. They finally turned the corner with that. They're on such an incredible hot streak offensively. They just set a club record for the most home runs in a month with 51 of them? I mean, this team offensively is one of the best in baseball right now. That is the way that they are playing. They just don't have enough victories to show for it. That is a problem. And the other problem in this game is another day, another trade deadline acquisition for this bullpen giving up a lead. It's Ryan Helsley for a little bit. Gregory Soto's been doing it as of late. It's Tyler Rogers' turn today. And as Gary mentioned on the broadcast, he lives on the soft contact. Soft contact giveth, soft contact taketh away, because that's the perils of playing to that strategy. Is sometimes the baseball gods will not look down upon you in the best light. And there was some soft contact that went against Tyler Rogers in that inning. The Mets just had to finish. They did all of the hard work to get this game back even. They did all of the hard work to show that they have that fight back. Another reminder that this team still has the 2024 version of the Mets inside of them, and they showed it today, but they just didn't finish the job. And I'm sorry, it's unacceptable to have lost 2 of 3 to the Miami Marlins, because it just puts immense pressure on tomorrow's game. Cannot lose 3 of 4 to Miami when you're in the middle of trying to chase down the Philadelphia. You would have wasted what you did earlier this week against Philadelphia, and it just puts more pressure on the starter in tomorrow's game, Kodai Senga, who is already dealing with his own set of challenges. He is trying to himself figure things out. Now he takes on the added pressure of he needs to deliver for this team tomorrow, because they have to salvage a series split against Miami. You have to start that road trip on Monday in Detroit saying, man, at least we didn't lose 3 of 4 at home to Miami. At least we didn't completely, give away the great start to the week doing what they did against Philadelphia. You have to find a way to salvage it. The offense is going to show up. They've been doing it in spades here as of late. Once again, we're going to open up a game tomorrow wondering, are the Mets going to get enough from their starters? Didn't think that was going to be a talking point today about David Peterson, but it has just been a rough go for him. And now it is Kodai Senga next up for this team, and you just worry. Unless it's Nolan McLean and or Jonah Tong, and I don't even think it's fair to put Jonah Tong in that bucket because he's only made one start. Other than Nolan McLean, do you feel good or confident right now about any of these starters giving this team the quality that they need? No, you just don't. And that's a really bad place to be for a team that has this level of offense. With this offense playing this way right now, there should be good enough pitching for them to win games. They're beating themselves with defense, like Ricardo points out in the chat. They're beating themselves with their pitching. Starters, today it was the back end of the bullpen. I mean, I do not want to leave this postcast without a tip of the cap to Chris Davinsky. 3 innings out of the pen that absolutely saved the Mets bacon today. Gave them a chance to even tie this game up at 8. David Peterson gave you 2 innings. Chris Davinsky, 3 scoreless innings of relief. Guy's been up and down all year. The Mets have had a ton of... How many times have we given the proverbial tip of the cap to a reliever that has just been called up by the Mets, that has given them quality out of the pen, that either saved their bullpen or in today's case, kept the game within striking distance so that the Mets could have even made that comeback? They just need to be better. They cannot waste this type of offense right now. It is statistically the best offense in the sport right now. And yet 2 of the last 3 nights, we have talked about a team that has lost. Thursday, sleepwalking. Miscues defensively. Today, an offense that was great, didn't get good enough starting pitching from David Peterson. Didn't get enough good relief from Tyler Rogers. And you didn't have the key at-bats when you had a chance to tie the game up at 9 in that 7th inning. Just have to finish the job. Score 8 runs, you should win. And that's, I think, the frustrating thing going into tomorrow. So Kodai Senga on the mound for the Mets tomorrow, as he will try to salvage the series split for the Mets. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell so that you are notified when we go live after each and every Mets game throughout the course of the season. For those of you listening to us after the fact in the podcast feed, we appreciate you making the Mets postcast a listen after the Mets are done in action. A frustrating one. I'm going to need to go take a couple laps around the house after that one. The Mets claw back down 8-2 after a bad performance from David Peterson. Juan Soto has a multi-home run day, kind of puts the team on his back to tie this thing up at 8. Still not good enough. The Mets fall 11-8 in this one. It is the series finale tomorrow. Kodai Senga on the mound for the New York Mets. Until then, have a good one, Mets fans.